Hi, how are you?
Hi, nice to meet you.
How is it going? Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Han.
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 Well, my name is Diego.
Yeah, nice to
And
meet you.
thank you for talking about this, which I think must be difficult, right?
Yeah, it's not easy.
Why are you telling the story? What do you want people to know? What do you want people to have reflection about?
I think my main message it would be that I hope for something like this to never happen again, and I want to spread the awareness that it could have happened to any other festival in the world. I mean, at the end of the day, what the Nova was just another festival, like Coachella and Ultra and Tomorrowland. It could have happened there too.
How do you still have nightmares about it?
Of course, a lot.
And how do you cope with it?
I'm in treatment, but I'll be honest, they aren't really helping, or it's helping very slowly. I haven't been the same. I haven't been the same.
In what sense?
My energy level is
very
a
down.
lot. Yeah, I have a lot of PTSD symptoms. I get triggered by a lot of things that in the past I would never even think about being alarmed by. Like sometimes if I hear a specific noise, that like an engine of a motorcycle or something like that, that's very extreme, and it passes by right next to me, I could get into an automatic anxiety attack and get closed up or deassociated, and I just can freeze and not function for, I don't know, it could be from between an hour to a whole day or 2 days sometimes.
Do you sometimes feel guilty that you survived and many of your friends didn't?
Of course. Because, I mean, there was no specific, there was no specific decision or plan on who's gonna be saved and who's gonna survive and who's gonna get killed or wounded very badly over there. It was just a matter of luck, or I don't even know if it's luck.
It wasn't your time, basically.
Yeah.
It wasn't time to go. How did you escape, or how did you survive?
It's a very long story, but I'll try to sum it up for you. I went to the party with Meir, my ex-boyfriend, and his brother Ben. We joined a campsite that was with around 25 people.
That was your group?
Yeah, and they're all friends from home, from my school, my high school friends, a lot of people that I knew from years back.
Where are you from?
Jerusalem. And also my cousin was at this party too. He came with a group of friends that were also from my neighborhood. So I had a lot of people that I knew at this event. It was supposed to be like an amazing festival that everybody waited for a very long time. And we were all very excited, we planned out, we bought the tickets, and we planned out how we're gonna get there and who we're gonna be with for 2 months before. And we got there at around 2 a.m. And at the beginning, everything was perfect. We saw all our friends, we saw a lot of other friends from the trans community, and we really had an amazing time. Everybody was dressed up, in festival clothes, especially the girls, dressed up in glittery clothes, and the decorations were beautiful as well. Everything was just on point, and we were dancing until 6:15, and at around 6:15 we started seeing drones in the sky. And when we saw the drones at the beginning, we thought it was from the production. Yeah. So we all looked up at them, and we were smiling at them and waving, and apparently those weren't from the production. Those were the Hamas drones. We started seeing sparks in the sky, And
But at that time, you still thought it was like a normal attack that happens every now and then.
even worse than that, we thought when we saw the sparks, we thought at the beginning it was fireworks, because everybody was in this euphoria of, like, you know, the party, and some people were using things too. So everybody thought it was just part of the production, and everyone were excited. Wow, what a great production! They usually don't have fireworks at festivals in Israel, so that was like wow. And then a few minutes after that, they turned off the music, and that's when we realized those weren't fireworks, those were missiles. And at this point, there was just complete chaos. And like, I remember there was like a glimpse of silence, like the very beginning when they turned off the music. And then people started running and leaving the stages, looking for their friends, looking for places to hide.
Which is very difficult because it was an open field just with trees.
Exactly. Like you saw people like climbing on the trees or going underneath the stages because they didn't really know what's going to happen. And a few minutes after that, the police told everyone to lie down on the ground, to stop running around and just lie down wherever you are. And they thought that maybe the missiles would stop, because like you said, it happens in the Gaza Strip. But this was completely different than what usually happens. We were on the ground for a few minutes, and then they saw the missiles wouldn't stop. So we started going towards our tents, towards the campsite.
There were still no terrorists
at this
around.
point, no. This was around, I think, like 6:45-ish.
So it's half an hour?
Yeah.
More or less?
15,
wow.
Yeah, something like that. Some people took their things at the very first. I just had a very bad feeling, like it's the end of the world. And we got to the car at around 7:39, exactly. Because at that point, when we entered the car, I texted my family if everything is okay with them.
But at 7:39, the terrorists still hadn't arrived at the site?
They arrived at the site at 8.
Wow.
20 minutes after, a few minutes even before 8. We got to the car, and then we saw the traffic, and it was insane. It was a huge line. We waited at the beginning, and then May started seeing in front of us something that looked weird. So he just bypassed the traffic, and he drove on the field for a few minutes. And we started seeing people running towards us, and we didn't understand what we're seeing. And he just like drove, without like thinking too much. And he found another bypass to the road, and then he got on road 232. And on our first turn, we passed by, like we drove a few meters, and then we passed by a weird vehicle that was on our left. It was standing on the side of the lane. And we looked at them, and we drove very slowly here because we were looking around us to see what's happening. And we passed this car, and we see people that were wearing IDF shirts, but a different color pants. And I remember I had direct eye contact with one of them, and his face, he didn't look like a soldier. He looked very mean, like he looked like he had terror in his eyes. And when we saw that, I told Meir and Ben, listen, I think those might be the terrorists that they told us about earlier. When we heard about the terror invasion, we didn't think that it would be that extent, like thousands. We thought maybe 2, 3, 4, or 5. How many could it be? And we were also surrounded by police officers and security team of the party, so that was the least of the concern of the terrorists. So we were more worried about the bombs. We saw them, and we passed by them, and it was like a movie scene, it was slow motion. And we were looking at them, and they were looking at us, and luckily they weren't very focused. And
because what they did is that the car that they saw, they were shooting.
Yeah, exactly. For us, I don't know how to explain it. We continued driving, and a few kilometers afterwards, we saw like stranded cars in the middle of the road, and on the side, another car that was shooting. So he made a U-turn, and We drove back again. And again, on the other turn, we saw another weird situation because as we're moving, their cars were moving as well. Like they were shooting people and moving. And so we turned back again, and we ended up doing this like 4 or 5 times. We saw blood everywhere. We just didn't understand what we're seeing. And there was also a lot of shootings too. Shootings everywhere. And they were shooting at us too. Luckily, the car didn't get hit, but we didn't understand where it's coming from. It was just complete chaos. And when we left that area, we drove another few kilometers and we reached Tzometsad. It's a kibbutz that was a road across from Faraza. I don't know if you've heard of that kibbutz actually. It was one of the 2 or 3 that didn't get an invasion. And when we got to the intersection, we saw a person standing in between those cars, and he told us to just leave the car as soon as possible, that the whole road is full of terrorists, and go inside the kibbutz. And that's what we did. As the more time that we were inside the kibbutz, more people started showing up, more survivors from other kibbutzim, from the party, from, you know, every moment there felt like forever because we're sitting there and waiting and you're hearing all the bombs outside. And for us, it was a huge miracle because apparently there was a group of 70 terrorists that was specifically in charge of Kibbutz Saad. It was just a miracle. A tank that passed by on the road, it had a completely different target, took that lane, and he passed right outside Kibbutz Saad. And when he saw the group of terrorists trying to enter, he just shot at them with his machine gun and took down, I think, 40 or 50 of the terrorists, and the others he wounded. But I mean, if that tank wouldn't have passed by and the security team wouldn't be so alert, I probably wouldn't have been here today.
Do you hate them at this point, after?
I have a very hard time with them.
But what is your position with what is happening right now with the government's reaction? What they're doing in Gaza, with the hostages still there? Where do you stand with that?
I usually don't get into politics that much.
When you have spoken to the people that are helping you, do you ask them, when will I heal? Or that's something that you will never heal? Or something you don't think about?
I don't think we'll ever be the same. I'm hoping to heal. When is a good question. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening and for doing all this advocation.